Hello, everyone. Larry Sasso with the first ever Get in the Game launching our podcast. I have 35 years of experience in the insurance and financial industry, a college professor working with young adults, and working alongside with my mentor, coach, and business partner, Fran Tarkenton with Tarkenton Financial. So I've had some valuable experience, but one thing resonated with me over the years is that parents and grandparents have come to me to talk to their children that they're not learning about financial literacy. So I thought to kick off our podcast, who would be better than the great Fran Tarkenton, Hall of Famer, Georgia Bulldog, Minnesota Viking entrepreneur. Fran, you started your business as delivering groceries at a very young age, a paper boy. You were successful on and off the field. I'd love to get your thoughts on financial literacy.
Well, first of all, Larry, and to your people that are watching, great guy, great ideas. I love the ideas of podcasts. We didn't have podcasts. We didn't have television when I was a kid growing up. But now we have the ability to bring to you people out there, people that been in the game. You've been in the game all your life. I've been in the game all my life. We want to share what we've learned, how we missed things, how we failed, how we got back up. You're not going to win every day, but so I'm so happy you're doing this podcast, and I'm going to jump in on this podcast a lot of times. So I'm not just a one and done guy, because I think the message that he's got and the message that I've got, we want to help you do better. I'm 85 years old. I wish I were, but I'm 85 years old. I'm learning at a faster rate today than I've ever lived in my life, because I am open to new ideas. I read, I listen, I see, I hear, and watch podcasts. I talk to everybody I can talk to, because you've got to continue to get better. You got to get smarter. That only comes from you, and we can help you with that.
Thank you. Fran, getting better and getting smarter, growing up,
Yeah.
Right? Can you talk a little bit about where did your financial literacy come from, like from your parents? What resonated or clicked with you? How did you learn about money and financial literacy?
I wish I could give you an answer like this.
Right.
I remember being a person when I was 3 or 4 years old. And I was born in Richmond, Virginia. My father was a preacher and an educator, and so I was born in Richmond, but we moved to Washington, D.C. when I was 5, 6, 7 years old. And then we moved to Athens, Georgia when I was 11 years old. So I was bouncing around, but somehow I was very curious. I had a paper out in Washington, D.C. when I was 8 years old.
Wow.
Before that, Safeway's grocery stores are still around, and on Saturdays and Sunday mornings, I would go. I had a little wagon, and I was 5 years old, and I'd go a block down the street to where the Safeway store, and the little old ladies would come there and put their bags in my wagon, and I'd take them home, and they'd give me a nickel or a dime. I don't know how much, but they gave me something.
So you were an entrepreneur at 5 years old?
Yeah, I was there, and I had my own money, and I spent my own money, and I saved my own money, and I bought bubblegum cards for baseball players and college football players. I got my brain working, right? I knew I liked sports. And then, I played at 5, 6, 7 years old. I played football, basketball, baseball at a boys' club in Washington, D.C. They taught me to play pool there. They taught me to box there. And and now I'm going to jump all the way to Tiger Woods. You ever heard of Tiger Woods? I knew Tiger Woods when he was 5 years old. There was a program I had with John Davidson and Kathleen Crosby and on ABC.
That's incredible.
That's incredible.
I remember that show.
And we had Tiger Woods on that show when he was 5 years old with his father.
So he didn't learn golf when he was in high school. He
learned golf at 3 and 4 years old, and he got on our stage there and he hit golf balls and wham and wham and wham.
Fran, I think I remember that episode.
Yeah. And so anyway, I had him on there, and he was unbelievable. But if you're going to really be good at something, you've got to start at 5 years old.
Did your parents help you with that, Fran?
No.
Or school, or was it
No.
just, where did you
No.
learn about the...
I wanted to be good. I wanted to be a good
Be
player.
better every day?
I want to be better every day. I really didn't like school. My learning was out on the football field, the basketball stuff, at the boys club in Washington, D.C., at the YMCA in Athens, Georgia. I spent my time out there among the people, and I was in a sports world.
So
Now-
self-taught, but...
Well, I'm not self-taught. I was taught by everybody, but I was
Around
out,
you, around you.
around me. I failed kindergarten. I had no interest in school. They didn't have anything there for me but I learned it all in the sports world from Richmond, Virginia, Washington, D.C., Athens, Georgia, and then on I went. But
That's amazing,
Yeah.
Fran. How did the financial literacy help you with throughout the journey after the NFL? Because you were an insurance salesperson during the NFL, throughout, and then after the NFL. How did your financial
It started
knowledge?
earlier than that.
It did.
I taking the wagons for
Yep.
the girl. I get paid for that. I had a paper route at 7
Right.
years old in Washington, D.C. Got paid for that. And then we moved to Athens, Georgia, and I got a job here and a job there, after school, weekends. I was always doing something. I didn't really know what they paid me. They paid me something.
You were making money.
I was making money and I was doing something, and through that, you're not going to learn anything if you sit back in your house and watch television all day. You got to go out there and get in the field
And start 'em young.
You got to do it really young.
Like Tiger
and so,
Woods.
And so I've done that all my life, and now here I am at 85 years old, and I'm learning at a faster pace than I ever have in my life because the world is going faster. We're building a company here that's an AI company. AI, most people, I can spell A and I, but it's unbelievable what you can do that we
Right.
couldn't do 5 years ago or 10 years. This is the most exciting era of business I've ever seen.
Times are changing, Fran. It's exciting, but can you share with everyone, how did you, with Matthew and Angela and your kids and grandchildren, other than start young, what did you how did you teach your kids about what you learned growing up, with financial matters and literacy?
Most kids that grow up with money, or maybe not so money, they want their parents to give them money.
Right.
They want their grandparents to give them money.
Right.
And the grandparents and the parents give them money. I've got 10 grandchildren. I've got one great-great-grandchild, and I've got 4 children, and I throw them out the door. Go out and learn. Well, I can learn from you, Grandpa. No, you go out and learn, and come back and tell me what you learned. And that's a joyful thing to do.
Right.
It's not about how much money I can make. I want to learn how I can go out and do things that people will pay me for. That
Interesting. So
and
you
I
encourage
do
them
that.
to go
And then
learn.
yeah, and then it never stops though, right? It never stops. You got to keep going and keep learning. You still learn at 85? Yes, I still learn at 85. And so here you're starting this podcast. I listen to podcasts. I listen to people. I listen to people and watch them on television or on the radio or on podcast or wherever they are, and I ask questions.
Right.
I want to be smarter because as fast as the world's going today, we got to be smarter.
Yeah, and
here's the deal. Whenever I thought I had it, that I knew everything, right? And I've had times when I thought I knew everything.
Right.
I got knocked out.
Right.
You never know everything. And with the world going as fast as it is now, there's so much ability for us to be able to learn from other people. Podcasts are a big thing now.
Yeah.
And it's and you can get on there and listen to a lot of people that have a lot of background of experience, and you can learn from that. And I still learn from that, and I produce in that.
That's so learning, continuing to learn all the
Yes.
time. But today, like
Never stop.
you mentioned, Fran, the world is very complex. Financial matters are very complex. You got credit cards, debit cards, student loans. My dissertation, my studies prove that over 70% of young adults going to college don't understand student loans. They don't understand credit cards and interest rate risk. What advice do you have? Because most states in our country mandate one financial class going through high school.
Yeah.
About 4 or 5 do not have that mandate. They're learning other things, but they're not learning about financial matters.
Well,
Like, what's your advice to the
Well,
young
they
adults?
go out and get loans.
Right.
And
they
then,
don't understand
then
the
it comes
loans.
time to pay off the loan, and the loan's $100,000.
Right.
And you can't pay that off. And so the opportunity there is so great. But the people are the worst part of it are the people that are growing up with rich parents. Because rich parents just, here, money here and money here and money here. If you don't have rich parents, you'll learn quicker probably because you have to. But if you're going out getting, the downside of that is just what you said.
Yeah, 'cause
You get loans to get through high school, college, or whatever you're doing, and then you got a $100,000 debit balance that you've got to go pay off. It's not good.
Looking back in your career and your kids and grandkids, like you mentioned, did they have a financial class in high school or a private? So they had you're saying they had to learn, go out and learn, get a job.
I
learn.
never had a financial class, and I don't think they have a financial class.
What about your children? Or
No, it's reading, writing, and arithmetic, right? Calculus.
Yeah.
When's the last time you learned calculus?
Yeah, and in our studies, we talk about a family socialization theory where your kids learn from what their parents do. So obviously you were a great role model. Your kids are very successful, and they learn a lot from what you do and how you do it.
Because I didn't give them a lot of money.
So you weren't the one giving them the unlimited budget.
Go out. If you go out and get a job, I'll match the money that you make in the job.
That is exciting.
And that's what I did. And
can you
so
talk about that?
Yeah, I just didn't give.
That match program.
Because I wanted them to go out and learn what the real world's about and how you can succeed in the world that we're in. And it's all built around money. How you make money, how you handle money, how you take care of money.
Right.
And if you don't do that at a young age, and then you make some money, and you make a lot of money, and all of a sudden you say, I'm rich, and then the next day you're broke.
Can you talk about the Tarkenton Financial, or the Fran Tarkenton matching plan? You talked about it before with your kids. If they did something, you would match them financially. What was the incentive for a Tarkenton son or daughter or grandchild to go to college? You emphasize education.
I took care of their education.
What do you mean by take care of?
I paid for it.
But they had what was the prerequisite?
But I wanted them to go out and have a job.
Right.
And if they didn't have a job, I wouldn't give them money. If they had a job, I matched when they're in high school and college. If they made $5 an hour, I pay them another $5 an hour. I matched everything they did. So they're not dummies.
I love that. So there was a financial reward.
Absolutely.
To get in the game.
Yeah.
I love that.
Why do these guys want to play football these days?
Correct.
When I played football, I made $12,500 a year. Today they make millions of dollars a year, $50 million, $70 million a year. The problem with that, they're not handling their own money.
Right.
And they go out and find people that want to handle their money. And they're really the people really want to make their money. And so 70%, this comes from the NFL, 70% of their players in the NFL, 5 years after they retire, they're broke. Making all the money they're making today because they never learned themselves how to have money and how to go make it and how to go use it.
So you're a big advocate for education, getting in the game, getting a job, having a budget, incentive, the Fran Tarkenton Financial Incentive. You go to college, you get a job, you make $5, I'm going to give you $5 a bonus. So, like, what do you think happened to those NFL players? Like, why do they, like Antoine Walker, maybe with the NBA, they get all this money? Looking back, what do you think the reason for that was? That they didn't understand money? They go to University of Georgia or these big-time colleges.
Well, Roger Goodell said 70% of them, after 5 years retired, are broke. And because they've spent so much time playing the sport they're in, baseball, basketball, football. They start playing at 5 years old, 6 years old, and they play year round. And so you're not going to learn in school. They don't have enough learning there on how to handle your money. You got to go out and do it yourself. And so, but they had so much of it, and they had a guy who was negotiating their prices that they're going to play for, and then he takes a swap out of there, and those people are charlatans. They don't teach them how to use their money and how to make money and how to build something else, and so all of a sudden they play college football or sports, they play pro sports, and then they're out in the world at age 35, 40, and they don't know anything about business. They don't know anything about money. Right. And so that's why they have 70% don't have any.
What, going back, excuse me, Fran, when you were in the NFL, I believe you told me you were in the NFL in the off season. You were insurance sales, right? What made you?
No, I was in college. They tell you at the University of Georgia, what do you want to major in? I had no idea what it meant, and so somebody, why don't you major in insurance? I understood the insurance. I said okay. So I did that, and then I got a job at 18 years old with Franklin Life Insurance Company in Athens, Georgia, and Walker Ward was the head guy there in Athens, Georgia. And I said, Mr. Ward, I got my license now. What do I do? Guess what he told me? Go to
sell insurance.
No, well, I'd sell it, but go to your. But how do I sell insurance? And he said, you got to go to your friends and neighbors.
So there was no formal training.
No, there was no training. Go to your friends and neighbors, and that didn't work out for me really well. You know, I didn't want to put myself upon my neighbors and upon my family. So I went out and knocked on doors, and understood the product and understood what a good product the Franklin Life Insurance had and how it worked and so forth. And I became the top Franklin Life Insurance salesman in Athens, Georgia at 19 years old. So I started, in Washington, D.C., and here I am in college, and I'm playing sports there and going to school, but I worked.
You definitely, Fran, it sounds like you've had the motivation to always get in the game, find a way to get in the game from your first game with the University of Georgia, running out into that huddle. Talking to young adults today, what would be your best advice for them? Like before going to college, maybe selecting a school that they can afford to pay back that loan. Because student loans, there's nothing wrong with them, right?
I'm not sure I'd tell them to go to college.
Yeah.
I didn't learn anything in college. I made good grades.
Steve Jobs didn't go to college.
College wasn't important to my life, except I played football.
Right.
Not to my business life.
Okay.
I'm not going to learn business in a classroom. I'm going to do it on the street.
So for
who I hang out with. I want to learn from someone. I learned how to play quarterback.
You hang around
I learned how to play quarterback from other quarterbacks.
Okay. Yeah. You talk about preparation.
Yeah.
So learning on the job.
And so I in pro football, I went up to the Minnesota Vikings at age 21. At age 22, I went out and I looked for Sid Luckman, who was a Hall of Fame quarterback for the Bears. And your people would never know who look up Sid Luckman. Otto Graham, who was the Tom Brady of his era in the early 50s. I went to their houses and I said, tell me how you do this. How do you call plays? How do you do this and how do you do that? I've never had my own idea. I always get ideas from somebody else.
Right.
My good ideas come from people I ask questions to, but I get in front of people that are doing something.
So we need to encourage, young adults to ask questions, surround themselves with people they can learn from, maybe their parents. Not all parents have good, financial literacy, so they may just have to find people
I couldn't go to my parents on how to play quarterback.
Right.
or how my parents were preachers.
And start them at a young age,
Yeah,
like
and
you,
so I didn't want to be a preacher.
right?
I wanted to go out and play sports, and then I wanted to go out and make money in business, and that's what I've done. But and I haven't asked anything of anybody else. And so you got to get out, as they say, you got to get out in the field and do it. Now, does everything work? Nope. Does everything work today now that you're 100 years old? No.
Right.
You know, we get along. Oh boy, we got it, and then we slack off a touch, and we get bam.
Complacency.
We got knocked out. So I am cognizant of how do we get better?
Fran, I love that. How to get better.
How do we get better?
Yeah, one thing I can say, over the 21 years knowing you as both a friend, a mentor, a coach, you've got your maxims. Work hard every day. There is no silver bullet. Reinvent yourself. Live with every day with a sense of desperation. I can honestly tell you that's my game plan every day. And having you as our guest today is just like invaluable. I really look forward to, like, in the future to bring you back on and talk to parents. But what resonated today with you today is you had to take it upon yourself the whole way. Doing the groceries, doing the paper routes, insurance. You learn. Who prepared more than Fran Tarkenton for an NFL game when you're a freshman? Georgia team beat the varsity team. When your inaugural season with the Vikings, you beat the Bears, right? How did that all happen? And with the same thing with financial literacy, that you have to get around people and learn and prepare. Is that
you got
the message you want to give to our listeners?
I've never had my own thought.
Okay.
Everything I've learned has come from what I read, what I heard, or what I saw, and that's how you get knowledge and can get in the game. And for you people there, come to this podcast every time he has it. I'm going to come back on here a lot to share ideas with you, but he's a great teacher, great coach for you, and you'll get a lot out of it. And I'll come back and pontificate some more and give you some more life lessons.
I love it, because it absolutely is a life lesson. Back to the first day that you're swinging a bat and t-ball, or like you said, Tiger Woods, he didn't learn how to golf on the JV team when he was a sophomore.
No.
He learned at 3-4 years old. So the message is we need to teach our children at a very young age. They might not be delivering groceries or doing a paper route like Fran and I did and Mark Cuban did at a young age, having money, dealing with budgets. But isn't it time, like our country, that we make it a priority to teach young adults? They're forfeiting on their college loans. They're not paying on time.
Yeah.
They're not paying them back. They're defaulting on student loans. Many college students, from my interactions and my studies, they don't understand student loans. So your message is to get in the game for them to learn more. But what about the education?
But also, I went to school with rich kids. Most of them were richer than me. Even I went to University of Georgia, to college there. Poor people don't go to big colleges. I didn't have much money, but that's not where I learned. And I just had I wanted to be coached. In football, I wanted to be coached. In life, I wanted to be coached. In business, I wanted to be coached. And so now I grow up with people at the University of Georgia who never worked. They came from tons of money, and they were proud of that, and they had no life, and they never did anything with their life. So
get a job.
Get a job. Go work. Don't depend on your parents to pay. At 15 years old, my father was really smart, and he was a great preacher, and he was a great man, but he worked, and he really passed it on. At 15 years old, Athens, Georgia, I said to my dad, you don't need to, I'll eat my lunches and dinners and breakfasts here, but you're never going to have to spend another dollar on me.
Wow.
You don't have to buy my clothes. You don't have to pay my, if I go to a movie, you don't have to give me movie money, and I'm going to get a scholarship to play in at some football school, but I'm going to make my own money. From 15 years old, never had to give me. He wanted to so bad, I wouldn't let him. I'd throw it back to him. You're not going to learn if your parents are worth $1 million or $1 billion,
Get their skin in the
and
game.
you just take take the money and go to the great schools and you party and everything is great. And you don't have to work because you got this money over here. That's the worst evil that could happen. I can really truly say the richest people in my school at the University of Georgia did nothing with their life. Nothing.
Wow. Well, I could tell you one thing. We do have some things in common. I didn't play in the NFL, but I always wore a number 10 Tarkenton shirt when I did play football. I did have a paper route, and my parents, like yours, my mom and dad wanted us to work at 10 years old. And when that blizzard hit and I was delivering papers and I was on the couch, my dad wanted to know why I wasn't out delivering the newspapers. So I think there's a lot of things that emerge today as a message, like hard work, getting our kids to work at a young age, and understanding
let's
money.
do this.
Yes, sir.
Closing point here. I've made a lot of money. Financially, I don't have to work, but I need to work. So at 85 years old, I'm here working in this office. If I'm not working in this office, I'm working from my house or working from where I'm traveling. I'm in the game. Now, I can't play football anymore. Too old, but I can be in business. And I can go and do really good things there that give me great pleasure. And so it's not like work is got to go work and dig ditches and that's hard. Nah, most of us aren't going to dig ditches.
Well, your top maxim is to help people. Fran Tarkenton helps people. You were at the Decker. You spoke at the Decker convention with those high school entrepreneurs. I'm really honored to have you today. This is just the beginning, Fran. I'm absolutely going to call on you in the future. And you taught us some valuable lessons. Nothing was given to Fran Tarkenton. You had to earn it on the field and off the field. And I'm just really grateful to have our friendship. You continue to help people every day. By what? By getting in. He's been in the game, and Fran Tarkenton stays in the game. When my friends ask me, Larry, what's your retirement like? I have my retirement plan. I'm following Fran Tarkenton. 85 years old. I hope to continue to do this. And again, I want to thank you. Thank you for getting in that game again in Georgia. Thank you for getting in the game with the Minnesota Vikings, and thank you for starting Tarkenton Financial, the founder, and your team. And your kids at the forefront leading the company, right? That's financial literacy at its best. So thank you again. And we're really honored and we're so excited about Get in the Game podcast. And we look forward to getting together again soon. Thank you.